Well, hello YouTube, and welcome to another unboxing video. Well, of course, for those of you that have been watching my videos for a while now, you'll know that I've had a little bit of a Ridgid tool binge the last little while. I've bought several Ridgid tools in the last few months, of course, and while for the majority, most of them have been good investments, and they've paid off quite well. Well, of course, one of the new additions that I have purchased was a sliding compound miter saw. Of course, it was not a Ridgid brand tool, but this one here came from our other retail store and it was on a good sale, so that's why I bought it. But of course, when you have an expensive compound miter saw that you've got perched on two flimsy sawhorses and a sheet of 1/2-inch plywood, you kind of question yourself why you put an expensive saw on something very flimsy. So of course, when this one here came on the big sale, I decided to pick her on up. Well, what we have here is what they call a miter saw utility vehicle. Essentially, it's just a fancy miter saw stand with wheels and handles so you can wheel it around. Pretty much that's what it looks like when she's all assembled and all that. Of course, you have your wheels down there, pretty much, and it's kind of an X-frame design, if you want to say, and when she folds down, it locks so you can wheel it around, kind of like a wheelbarrow. Of course, this is what it looks like when she's folded up, and then she unfolds kind of like that, and then when she's done, she looks like that. They say set up in seconds. Of course, this thing here is a universal design and is compatible with all sliding and compound miter saws. Industry leading fast and easy one-step setup. Fast action, extension, release. And of course, being it's a Ridgid tool, there is a lifetime service agreement. If you register your tools online, then they basically know when you bought them, and if something goes wrong, you ship it to them and they're good to go. Here. So guys, enough of the talking here. I'll throw you back on the old tripod. We'll cut the straps, cut the tape, open her up, and see what we got. Now, unfortunately guys, Stabby McFerguson is in the office, of course, so I have to use the next best one. These knives I love. I've had them for years on various job sites, various locations, and they've never failed me. I like how they're, a compact design and they work great. They fit in your pocket and they're always there when you need them. Way back in the day, we actually used to use these knives for stocking shelves at retail locations. However, they had too many WCB claims from workplace injuries, so they had to go with the safety knives that really don't cut much of anything. So pretty much guys, now that she's all cut open, flip open the flaps. Well, you kind of get to see the nice shiny, powder coated gray tubing. Of course, you got your handles up here. You got some, these are the miter saw extension wing ends here. Of course, wonderful foam. It seems everything is made of foam nowadays, but that's, I guess, the way she is. So it looks like there's a little bit of assembly. And once she's assembled, then we can be good to go. So let's get all the pieces out of her and we'll see what we got. So of course I got those big foam blocks out of there. Pretty much it exposes your wonderful, instructions, your operation guide over here. And of course down the far end, of course, you have both the wheels. Of course they're a kind of rubber coated wheel. On like a plastic hub, which everything seems to be nowadays. Of course, the next piece here is your wonderful metal stand. It appears to be all one piece kind of from here on, and then of course the orange pieces down here are where your miter saw goes onto, which then ends up on the stand, and that's basically what makes it a universal design. I'll show you these slotted and adjustments to put various saws on the stand afterwards. So let's drop this metal out of this box, fold her on up, and we'll see what we got. Okay, so once you got her all out of the box, it's time to put the wheels on. So of course, dig in your package of goodies there, dig out the axle bolts. Now if your stand is assembled the same way as mine, your axle bolts you will find in this pack here with the orange knobs and stuff like that. So pretty much dig in that pack of goodies, dig out the axle bolts. Now, of course, they're going to be the longer black ones in the kit. One thing I like is these bolts are similar to like your lawnmower bolts, is they are shouldered so you can't over tighten them. Okay, now once you got the wheels on, to attach the bottom frame support, essentially it's the loop that goes around the bottom of the frame that basically the stand rests upon when it's folded out. Pretty much slide her on in until the holes line up with the holes that are already in the stand. Sometimes you might have to get a soft hammer just to gently persuade things a little bit. Because keep in mind, you know, they are a stamped product, and of course they're bent around a tubing bender and then dipped in, well, painted and sent out the door, right? So of course, taking your, well, round top bolt here with an Allen key head on her, of course your hex nut at the bottom there, pretty much taking your foot base with the Ridgid logo sticking out, pretty much dig her on in, drive her on down, tighten her on up. So I'll repeat the process with the other side. Okay, so the next one to be installed, of course, are the black or dark charcoal handles. Stick the tubing on into the appropriate hole there, slide in your Phillips head bolt, pretty much line her on up through the bottom side. Put your acorn nut on. Of course, this is the number 13, this is where the wrench comes in handy there. And with your big number 3 Phillips, give her a tighten down. So pretty much, guys, I'll do the same with the other side here. Get her all good and tightened down. Then we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, so this one might be a little bit difficult to demonstrate, but this one here is the vertical frame support. So pretty much what you do now is take her off your nice flat surface onto its wheels and onto the bottom feet. Pretty much the vertical frame support is, well, this bracket here getting connected to this tubing here. However, of course, you just can't just bend this tubing into that bracket because, of course, there's a bar in the way. So pretty much what you do is you have to gently unlock the frame on the safety here, and basically it'll try to unfold itself if you want to do, but don't let it fully unfold. So you just, you know, kind of hit the unlock button, pretty much like that. Put your foot underneath the wheel, let it roll back, you know, 1.5 inches or so, and then basically you drop your pretty much black bolt here with the locking nut in her. Line up the tubing with the bracket. Pretty much after you got that, put the nut on the other end. And then of course tighten her on down. So of course I'll repeat that further side, guys, and then we'll continue on. Okay guys, so the next part here, after you got everything tightened on down, is to unfold the stand. So of course you see that little unlock lever there with the arrow pointing down. Pretty much you just tap that with your foot, very, very light, and then basically the back wheels start to, well, fold backwards. Essentially you push down on the handles and she unfolds. Pretty much you hit that little lever, push down on the handles, and as you see there, it starts to unfold, starts to basically become a stand. And basically there you get your first look at the msuv, miter saw utility vehicle, if you want to call her that. So of course the next step here is installing the work stop support. Essentially these are the little arms that come out from the stand itself to support, help you cut something longer. Basically it supports the end of the work to keep it from, well, you know, snapping off or falling or, you know, wrecking your cut as it starts to, well, cut through. So pretty much this is kind of what you look like. It's kind of like a T. It has square tubing on one end, round down the other with some nice caps in the middle. Pretty much slide her on in that little rectangle tubing there. Of course, in your hardware pack you will find pretty much a plastic knob, if you want to say, with a threaded end. Very, very short. Pretty much is a threaded insert here on the back side. You just thread that on in. You know, it doesn't have to be super, super tight, of course. But pretty much this is what controls the up and down movement of the support. So you tighten her on down. So of course the next piece to install is the flat piece of tin here. I basically like to use it for if I have a piece that's a little bit off of angle, not 100% straight. You can adjust this one here up and down to, well, you know, take up the difference. So put her on in, of course the bolt facing outward, again with your plastic you know, nut or knob, if you want to say. Pretty much put her on down and tighten her on down. Now of course one of the neat things about this here saw is the quick adjust wings. Pretty much by flipping this lever here, this whole assembly will slide on out. Basically, as you see here, it's probably got a good 3 feet away from the stand before it bottoms out. And what's one thing nice is there is a catch to it, so you can't overextend it and have it hit the ground. Okay, so now that you got the assembly and that all complete, well, it's time to attach the brackets that you mount the saw to the stand. Pretty much they're quite a simple design. Basically they have the back catch here that rests on the back side of the stand, and then there's your front catch here with your release itself. So pretty much you take the front of the bracket, put it onto the stand, and then the back one just pretty much snaps in place. You lock her on down, and then away she goes. Pretty much like that, it's locked. They're not going to go nowhere, your saw is not going to fall off. You're safe to fold it up, move it, and with no worries at all. Now of course this here system they say is universal. It should fit most of the saws out there. I imagine there probably is some exceptions. I know the saw that I have it obviously is an exception itself, but we'll deal with that one later. So folding up your stand is pretty much the same as unfolding it, but basically in reverse. That little unlock button at the bottom here, give her a tap, pretty much lift it up, and basically keep folding it up until it's pretty much in a vertical upright position. Of course the wheels will lock in place, and there you go, now you're ready to wheel it around. So one of the things I like about this here saw is it's fairly well balanced. You can tell when you're unfolding it and folding it up, it's actually not really heavy at all. We will see once we get the weight of the, well, miter saw on top of it, because, well, mine is a fairly heavy saw. Of course I would show you how to mount the saw to the stand right at this moment. However, I'm going to have to do some customization to make my saw fit this stand. But we'll give her a rundown, some of the features this here stand has, you know, the specifications and all that good stuff, and then away we go. Okay guys, so here's some features of the miter saw stand. Leading industry fast and easy one-step setup. Easily set up with easy one-action foot pedal lock and single lift point. Pretty much like I showed you guys there, how easy it was to lift and, well, put down. Universal quick release mounting brackets. Universal design is compatible with all sliding and compound miter saws. Secondary lock helps ensure secure fit. Fast action extension releases makes extension adjustments incredibly easy. 9 foot 3 inches extension length, so you know that handles a fairly good wide selection of material, whether you're working with like baseboards or you know just your simple like 2x4s or whatever, right? Repositionable 12-inch wide work supports. Relocate one or both of the work supports to provide additional support for longer and heavier stock. Built-in material stops make setup for repeated cuts easily. Of course, that's always nice to have, especially like if you're doing fence boards or deck boards or something. Multi-grip position transport handles. Change the hand grip position easily for optimum comfort and balance while transporting or during setup. Lateral adjustment saw mounting. Saw can be positioned from one side of the stand to another, providing optimal length of cut and ease of transport. Heavy-duty steel construction provides plenty of strength and support to stand up to tough job site conditions, while still being light enough for true portability. Large wheels provide superior mobility across job site, including up and down stairs and over rough terrain. Integrated rubber feet minimize floor slippage for additional stability. And of course, one thing I didn't show is there is a storage tray, ideal for locating and storage task accessories, you know, like your tape measure and your pencils and stuff like that. Upright folding design for easy storage in shops, garages, and trailers. So pretty much that concludes the feature section here. So specifications are: assembled length with transport handle is 55 inches. Height of work surface with mounting brackets is 33.5 inches. Assembled width is 26 inches. Overall extension length is 9 foot 6 inches. Max weight capacity is 300 pounds, so it'll handle, you know, a fairly good miter saw on there as well. And of course, the dry weight of the stand without the miter saw or anything on it is 57 pounds. But guys, that pretty much concludes the unboxing and assembly of the Ridgid msuv miter saw utility vehicle. Again, the model number of this here tool is an AC9945. Pretty much, guys, we'll do a follow-up review here in, well, a little while. We'll basically see how well the stand, well, stood up and all that good stuff, and see if it's worth buying or if it was one of those tools that won't get used a lot. And as always, thanks for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.